One stormy night, as thunder rolled and rain pelted against the windows of St. Luke's Hospital, the nightly routine was abruptly interrupted by an extraordinary event. An imposing tiger, its fur blowing like fire under the hospital lights, burst into the main hall. His majestic and ferocious entrance caused an immediate commotion, sending doctors, nurses, and patients scrambling for cover. "A tiger!" cried one frantic doctor. Sister Anna, known for her courage and composure in even the most chaotic situations, was one of the few who didn't succumb to the general panic. Her eyes widened not with fear, but with fascination as she watched the magnificent animal that, contrary to its wild nature, seemed to be searching for something or someone. Despite its intimidating appearance, the tiger moved with a strange urgency rather than aggression. Hanging delicately from its powerful jaws was what appeared to be a small cub, but clearly not of its own species. Drenched and shivering, the cub made a fragile sound barely audible over the roar of the storm and the screams. Anna, driven by an impulse to help, cautiously approached the tiger. "It's okay. I'm here to help," she said softly, trying to convey calm through her voice and posture. Meanwhile, the hospital's head of security, Senor Carlos, was already on the phone with the local authorities, reporting the critical situation. "We have a tiger on the loose in the hospital." "Yes, a tiger. We need help immediately." Anna, realizing that time was of the essence before the situation escalated any further, signaled for the others to keep their distance. She noticed that the tiger, despite its imposing stature, was showing signs of exhaustion and fear, its ribs visible under its cloak of wet fur. Deciding to take action, Anna led the tiger and the mysterious cub into a secluded room that was occasionally used to store medical supplies. Once inside, she locked the door and found herself trapped with the two enigmatic creatures. "We will find help for you both," she promised as the tiger carefully placed the cub on the floor and retreated to a corner, watching Anna's every move with a penetrating eye. While waiting for help, Hannah examined the cub, which, despite its exotic and unfamiliar appearance, seemed incredibly fragile. She didn't recognize the species, but she was determined to save this innocent creature's life. The next few minutes were tense, with Anna working to stabilize the cub using her medical knowledge and the supplies at hand. The tiger watched silently, its heavy breathing synchronizing with the sound of the rain hitting the roof. Meanwhile, outside the locked room, the hospital began to mobilize under the command of Senor Carlos, preparing for what could be a long night of uncertainty. The presence of the tiger and the discovery of the unidentified cub raised questions that demanded answers. Where did they come from? Why would a tiger bring a cub from another species into a human hospital? And what did this mean for all of them? Anna felt herself on the brink of a profound mystery, the answers to which could change not only her life, but also the understanding of the relationship between humans and wild animals. As the storm rolled outside, she knew that the real storm was just beginning. As the night wore on, the tension at St. Luke's Hospital was palpable. Anna kept a constant watch on the cub and the tiger, both of whom were calmed by her presence. The tiger, exhausted, rested with one eye always open, watching every movement around him, while the cub, now wrapped in warm blankets, showed signs of recovery. Outside the locked room, the chaos had given way to a coordinated operation led by Senor Carlos, who was working with the authorities to ensure security at the hospital. The police and an animal control team were already on site, preparing for any eventuality. The tense moment was interrupted by the arrival of Dr. Ricardo Menezes, a renowned specialist in big cats, who was urgently called in to deal with the unusual situation. Tall and imposing, Dr. Menezes carried with him an aura of authority and knowledge. "How is the situation here?" asked Dr. Menezes, addressing Mr. Carlos as he approached the room where Anna was with the tiger and the cub. "We have a tiger and an unidentified cub isolated in this room," explained Mr. Carlos, pointing to the door. Nurse Anna is in there with them. She managed to calm the tiger down somehow. Dr. Meneses nodded, his serious expression softening a little. Let's see if I can talk to her and get a better understanding of what's going on. Approaching the door, Dr. Meneses knocked softly and called out, Nurse Anna, I'm Dr. Ricardo Meneses, specializing in big cats. Can you tell me how things are going in there? Anna, hearing the specialist's calm voice, replied from inside the room. The tiger is calm now, and the cub seems to be recovering. They're here with me, safe for now. Encouraged, Dr. Meneses asked permission to enter, assuring her that he would take all necessary precautions. Anna opened the door cautiously, allowing Dr. Meneses to see for himself the unusual scene before him. Observing the tiger lying peacefully, Dr. Meneses approached slowly, keeping a respectful distance. He examined the cub with a look of curiosity and concern. This cub is not the same species, that's clear. It has characteristics that I don't immediately recognize. Anna, relieved to have someone with specialized knowledge by her side, shared her observations about the tiger's behavior and the cub's condition. Dr. Meneses, listening attentively, began to formulate a hypothesis. It could be that this tiger has escaped from somewhere it has been held captive. That will explain its familiarity with humans and perhaps even the presence of this cub, which I suspect is of a rare or even unknown species. The expert then proposed a plan of action. We need to transfer them both to a safer and better equipped environment where we can look after them properly and investigate further. Meanwhile, news of the presence of a tiger and a mysterious cub in the hospital began to spread, attracting media attention and creating a siege of onlookers and reporters outside the hospital. The situation called for quick and discreet action. Dr. Meneses, Anna, and Senor Carlos began coordinating with the animal control team to organize the safe transfer of the tiger and cub, while taking all measures to keep the situation under control and out of the public eye. As dawn approached, they prepared for the next step, aware that every moment was crucial not only for the safety of the tiger and cub, but also for unraveling the mystery that could change the understanding of wildlife and its preservation. As the morning dawned, with rays of sunshine cutting through the mist of the previous night's rain, the team, led by Dr. Meneses, Anna, and Mr. Carlos, worked tirelessly to organize the safe transfer of the tiger and the mysterious cub to a suitable location. The pressure to keep the situation under control intensified with the growing presence of journalists and onlookers outside the hospital. Dr. Meneses had contacted a wildlife rehabilitation center known for its excellence in caring for big cats and rare species. They are prepared to receive our two unexpected patients, he explained, checking the last details on the phone. This center has quarantine facilities where they can be monitored and treated without the risk of exposure or additional stress. Anna watched worriedly, but confident in Dr. Meneses' expertise. She had formed a special bond with the tiger and cub during the tumultuous night and felt a pang of sadness at the thought of parting with them. How are we going to get them there? She asked, looking at the tiger, who was resting with an imposing calm, still intently watching every movement around him. We have a specialized team on the way with appropriate transport equipment, replied Dr. Meneses. We're going to lightly sedate the tiger to ensure a peaceful journey. As for the cub, he seems stable enough to be transported in a special incubator. The animal control team arrived shortly afterward, equipped with a large transport box for the tiger and a heated incubator for the cub. With careful, coordinated movements, they prepared the animals for transportation. Anna, although relieved to know that they would be in good hands, felt anxious. While the tiger was being gently sedated under the supervision of Dr. Meneses, Anna approached to whisper a few words of comfort. "You're going to be fine, my good friend. We'll take care of you and your little one." With everything ready, the tiger and the cub were carefully placed in their respective transports. The operation was carried out with an efficiency that minimized stress for the animals and kept the curiosity of the press at bay. Mr. Carlos, coordinating with the police, ensured a secure perimeter so that the transfer operation took place away from the public eye. The convoy set off towards the rehabilitation center, discreetly escorted by the police. During the journey, Anna and Dr. Meneses talked about the next steps. Once they're settled and safe, we'll need to do a series of tests to better understand their condition, explained Dr. Meneses, and especially we need to identify the cub's exact species and how it came to be with a tiger. Anna nodded, absorbing the implications of his words. And about the tiger, you mentioned that it may have come from captivity. Does that mean there might be someone out there who is illegally keeping these animals? Exactly, confirmed Dr. Meneses. And that's something we'll need to investigate thoroughly, not just for the safety of these animals, but to make sure there aren't others in a similar or worse situation. When they arrived at the rehabilitation center, they were greeted by a team of veterinarians and wildlife experts. The tiger and cub were taken to the quarantine area, where they would begin their journey to recovery and where many questions awaited answers. Anna, looking back as the gates closed, felt that this was just the first page of a bigger story that was only just beginning to unfold. At the Wildlife Rehabilitation Center, an atmosphere of scientific anticipation enveloped the team as they prepared for the arrival of the tiger and the mysterious cub. The quarantine facilities, usually reserved for special cases, had never housed such an unusual combination of residents. Anna, still watching closely, observed as the specialists transferred the tiger and cub to their new temporary accommodation. A safe and quiet area had been prepared, ensuring that stress for the animals was minimized as much as possible. The tiger, even under the light effect of sedatives, was alert, its large expressive eyes scanning the environment with instinctive caution. Dr. Meneses coordinated the operation, giving precise instructions to ensure the safety of everyone involved, including the animals. We're going to keep interactions to a minimum initially, he explained to the team. We want them to get used to the environment without additional pressures. The cub, now more active and curious, explored the small space of the incubator with intrigued glances at the humans around him. The medical team was particularly interested in him, given his rare and unknown condition. Preparations were underway for a series of genetic and medical tests that could uncover the truth about his origin. Meanwhile, Anna took advantage of a moment of calm to talk to Dr. Meneses about the concerns raised earlier. About the tiger, how can we start investigating where it came from? It's clear that it was under human care, given its relatively docile behavior. Dr. Meneses, looking thoughtfully at the tiger, who was now resting with a contemplative gaze, replied, I'll contact some conservation and law enforcement organizations that work with animal trafficking. They may have records or reports of tigers going missing or being sold illegally. That might give us a lead. The conversation was interrupted when one of the center's veterinarians approached with an update. We carried out a first battery of tests on the cub and discovered some anomalies in its genetic structure. It's too early to draw any conclusions, but the preliminary results suggest that he may be a descendant of a species considered extinct. Anna and Dr. Meneses exchanged looks of surprise and concern. This is extraordinary, said Anna. But it also increases the responsibility on us. We need to protect this cub at all costs. Yes, and that includes keeping all this under wraps until we fully understand what we're dealing with, added Dr. Meneses. The last thing we want is to draw undue attention to him from people with questionable intentions. Over the next few days, the rehabilitation center became a place of intense scientific activity. Experts in genetics and conservation were called in to contribute their knowledge. Each test on the cub raised more questions. Each look at the tiger increased the urgency of discovering its origin. For Anna, every day at the center was a journey of discovery. She spent hours observing the tiger and the cub, documenting their behavior and interactions. The visible bond between them was something that transcended common understanding, a constant reminder that in the natural world, stories are often more complex and surprising than one might imagine. As the mystery of the cub deepened, the gears of a larger investigation began to turn, promising revelations that could shake the foundations of animal conservation and challenge preconceived notions about wildlife. As the investigation into the origin of the tiger and cub deepened, Dr. Menezes and his team of experts established a collaboration with local and international authorities specializing in animal trafficking. The hope was to discover connections that could lead to the tiger's former captivity, which could be the key to understanding how an animal from a potentially extinct species ended up in their care. On the other hand, Anna continued to spend hours at the rehabilitation center, now firmly involved in the daily care and observation of the tiger and cub. She meticulously documented every interaction between them, noting how the tiger showed surprisingly paternal protective behavior towards the cub. Her notes would become fundamental to understanding the dynamic between the two creatures. One cold and foggy morning, the team received a visit from a specialist in conservation genetics, Dr. Helena Vargas, who brought with her advanced equipment to carry out more detailed genetic analyses. Dr. Vargas, a soft-spoken woman with an intensely focused gaze, got straight to the point when she arrived. This cub's genetic information could change what we know about biodiversity and extinction. I'm here to make sure we extract and interpret that data correctly. With Dr. Vargas leading the genetic tests, the team focused on the cub. The initial results suggested that the cub could be a direct descendant of Tasmanian tigers, extinct for over a century. The revelation caused a stir among scientists and conservationists, bringing a new urgency to protect the animal's genetic integrity. Meanwhile, Dr. Menezes was following a promising lead about the tiger's origins. With the help of records recovered from operations against animal trafficking, he identified an illegal captivity that had recently been dismantled in a distant country where exotic animals were kept for illegal sale. It's very possible that our tiger escaped from there, Dr. Menezes explained to Anna during one of his regular updates. We're organizing an expedition to investigate the site and find more evidence. At the same time, Anna was facing her own challenges at the center. Global attention was beginning to grow as rumors of the discovery spread despite efforts to keep the case under wraps. She often found herself answering questions from journalists, which added a layer of stress to her already heavy load of responsibilities. In a parallel development, a team led by Dr. Menezes set off for the site of the dismantled captivity. What they found there was shocking. Abandoned facilities that once housed a variety of exotic species, including tigers, equipment and documents left behind, suggested that there was an extensive and well-organized network behind the trafficking of these animals. The data collected at the site was grim but valuable, providing crucial pieces of the puzzle as to how the tiger could have gotten so far from its natural habitat. Photos, transport records, and notes left by traffickers offered a glimpse into the brutal underworld of the illegal animal trade. Back at the rehabilitation center, Anna and Dr. Vargas were preparing for a press conference where they would reveal part of their findings to the world, aware of the impact this could have. The truth about the cub and his tiger protector was about to become global knowledge, challenging old concepts and possibly encouraging a new wave of conservation efforts. As the day of the press conference approached, Anna felt the weight of responsibility grow. The discovery of the cub, potentially a Tasmanian tiger, and the story of the tiger escaping from illegal captivity would certainly capture the world's attention. Dr. Menezes, alongside Dr. Vargas, was finalizing the details of how they would present their findings, aware of the impact their words would have. At the rehabilitation center, the tiger and her cub were adjusting to their new environment, now fully adapted to meet their needs. Anna spent every day observing them, noting down behaviors and interactions, that would help the team better understand their needs and personalities. The bond between them only strengthened, offering a rare glimpse of a deeply touching interspecies relationship. Meanwhile, Dr. Menezes returned from the expedition with crucial evidence of illegal captivity, including videos and photographs documenting the scale of the animal trafficking. "We have enough evidence to help the authorities track down and dismantle part of this network," he commented, preparing to share this information during the conference. The press conference was held in a large auditorium inside the rehabilitation center, with journalists from all over the world present, as well as live streaming to ensure that the information reached a global audience. Anna and Dr. Vargas were backstage, going over their talking points one last time. "Are you ready?" Dr. Vargas asked Anna, noticing her nervousness. "As much as possible," Anna replied, taking a deep breath. "It's important that everything goes well today." When the time came, Dr. Menezes took the floor first, explaining the tiger's situation and how he came to be found in the hospital. This was followed by a detailed explanation of the investigation into the illegal captivity, with striking images shown on the screens behind him. Dr. Vargas then presented his findings about the cub. "What we have here is, we believe, a young Tasmanian tiger, a species that was considered extinct more than a century ago. Genetic analysis confirms that he is a direct descendant, suggesting that the species survived in isolation or that there was hidden and undocumented reproduction." The auditorium was silent, everyone absorbing the implications of these revelations. The journalists' cameras captured every moment, broadcasting this astonishing story to the world. Anna then spoke about the need for conservation and protection, both for the tiger and the cub. This case highlights the importance of vigilance against animal trafficking and the need to protect all species, known and unknown, from human threats. The journalists' questions were many and varied, ranging from requests for details about the captivity to questions about the measures that would be taken to protect the cub and other possible animals in similar situations. After the conference, while the world digested the news, Anna returned to her work at the center, feeling a little relieved but knowing that the real task had only just begun. The story of the tiger and her cub had caught global attention, and now it was crucial to seize this moment to foster concrete action in wildlife conservation and the fight against animal trafficking. With the support of the international community now secured, Anna, Dr. Menezes, and Dr. Vargas prepared for the next steps, determined to make a lasting difference in protecting these magnificent creatures and their legacy for future generations. After the press conference, the world was now aware of the existence of the cub that could be a Tasmanian tiger, as well as the grim circumstances surrounding the adult tiger. The global attention not only brought support and resources, but also new challenges.